Minister of Finance, Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris announced on Labor Day, Monday, salary increases for civil servants, pensioners, and employees of the Skills Training Empowerment Program, STEP. In a national address on Labor Day, Dr. Harris announced a 10% increases in salaries, wages, and pensions for all three categories of persons.
Today, I am pleased to announce that my government has determined that our civil servants, our pensioners, and STEP workers will benefit from a significant increase in wages, salaries, and pensions at the rate of 10%, and this shall be retroactive to January 2022. This is another clear example of our investing in our people as we put more money in the pockets of a large number of our citizens and residents. These resources will translate to increased purchasing power for approximately 4,000 salaried civil servants, 1,064 government auxiliary employees, 1,365 pensioners, and 2,800 STEP workers. This also has the great potential to propel increased economic activities, which will, in turn, contribute to the economic recovery and stimulate job creation across our beautiful federation.
The Prime Minister also announced 5 short-term fiscal policy measures for immediate implementation aimed at alleviating the rising cost of living in St. Kitts and Nevis.
On April 13, 2022, the government granted approval to amend the price build-up for gasoline such that the increase in prices at the pump would be moderated. The excise tax on the importation of fuel was reduced from $2.25 per gallon to 95 cents. This significant reduction will be in place from April to September 2022. The government also granted an increase in the gas station dealer's margin by 30 cents. In addition to the amendment to the price build-up for gasoline, we will extend the fuel subsidy program for an additional 6 months until September 2022.
Dr. Harris also advised that the first batch of STEP workers would be regularized as was promised at the start of the new term of the Team Unity government. I'm Andre Huey for SKN Newsline.
Hundreds of workers, members of the Trades and Labour Union and supporters of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party united in an annual Labour Day march through the streets of Bastia and were addressed by leader of the Labour Party, Dr. Terence Drew. Members of the party and the Trades and Labour Union led the march that took them through Central, East and West Bastia along the traditional route of the march. Ending at the Patsy Alice Playfield, several representatives addressed the crowd, with Dr. Drew presenting the featured address. According to Drew, the 10% salary increase for public sector workers announced by Minister of Finance Dr. Timothy Harris is inadequate considering the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic.
And I want to say to all our people that today we hear a big announcement, or supposedly a big announcement, that the workers or the public servants will get a 10% increase. You all heard it? You all heard it? They said that you all will get a 10% increase. But I'm always for our workers getting what they deserve. And where I stand, you would have passed through a pandemic for 2 years. You would have lost your job during that time. Many of you could not find work. That the Treasury had in almost $1 billion. That the CBA program had brought in $500 million to another $1 billion. And we asked the question, why is it the taxi drivers had to suffer so much? And at that time, we said, why not use the $1 billion in the Treasury and the $500 million to $1 billion through the CBA program and help the people of St. Kitts and Nevis? And help the people, help you, the people, so you do not have to suffer. But the government at that time did very little for you, the people people of St. Kitts and Nevis. And they introduce an unjust policy of no job, and that is why you see the workers here today, people like Tony Rollins and Curtis Crook and other workers demonstrating for their rights.
Dr. Drew also addressed other matters, including the relationship between St. Kitts and Nevis, as he gave a glimpse of a renewed focus for the SKNLP. Glenn Barth reporting for SKN Newsline.
When visiting St. Martin, you want clean, affordable accommodations. You need Midtown Motel in the heart of Phillipsburg, a place where you can relax, take a stroll on Great Bay Beach, and that provides you easy access to great shopping. Midtown Motel, located on Front Street, Phillipsburg, St. Martin. Call Midtown Motel at 721-542-0614 and book your stay today.
The SKN Newsline website now offers you more news. Log on to www.sknnewsline.com for local, regional, and international news. You can also watch the latest newscast and keep abreast with news in sports, all from sknnewsline.com. That's www.sknnewsline.com. News at your fingertips. Nestled between evergreen mountains and the Caribbean Sea on the island of St. Kitts is the Millhouse Guest House and Convention Center. With breathtaking views, a rugged, beautiful shoreline, and immaculate manicured gardens make this the perfect location for your holiday, event, or wedding. With a large convention center, apartments with balconies providing stunning views, and a secluded cottage for larger family groups or honeymooning couples looking for some privacy. We have something for everyone. Book your stay at www.millhouseskn.com or visit our Facebook page, the Millhouse Guest House and Convention Center, an oasis of tranquility.
As workers throughout St. Kitts and Nevis mark Labor Day 2022 through various activities, the representatives of the People's Action Movement were also commemorating the day. Speaking with SK Newsline on Labor Day, Sean Richards, the leader of the People's Action Movement, commented on the relevance of the day and on the matter of reviewing the current minimum wage.
I want to say to all of the workers within the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis as we celebrate Labor Day. Labor Day is about you. Labor Day is a time when you are to reflect in terms of your own working conditions, what the current conditions are, what you would like to see in terms of an improvement in terms of your working conditions. I am aware of the fact that you still have a significant number of persons who are unemployed because of the COVID-19 situation. The People's Action Movement, of course, we empathize with those persons. We intend to create an environment where more jobs are available for persons. We intend as a government to look at the labor code to see where the improvements are needed to ensure that the workers here in St. Kitts and Nevis feel that in terms of working conditions, that those conditions are actually conducive towards them being productive, towards their seeing upward mobility in terms of their employment.
Some persons have been asking about increasing the minimum wage.
The minimum wage, of course, I do believe it ought to be reviewed, of course. However, that is a consultative process because to a large extent, the businesses in particular which employ persons and which pay minimum wage, they would have to be part of that process to ensure that at the end of the day they are not negatively affected, so that you don't find a situation because of an increase in minimum wage, whether it is the number of persons who are being employed would have to be reduced, or that the cost of persons who depend upon those businesses for whatever goods or services increase.
3 political parties on St. Kitts hosted activities with those of PAM ending in a concert and show at their party's headquarters. Glenn Bart reporting for SK Newsline. Former Premier of Nevis, Ambassador Vance Amry, was laid to rest following a state funeral on 1st May 2022. The late Vance Amry was a founding member of Nevis's Concerned Citizens Movement and was Premier of Nevis on 2 occasions. In his last stint as Premier, Amry led the CCM into a political coalition with the People's Action Movement and the People's Labour Party, serving in the federal government until his retirement. The Team Unity Coalition government appointed Amry as an ambassador. Amry has had an active life, making significant contributions to sports, politics and religion, and was considered a statesman extraordinaire. Hundreds of friends, family, colleagues, associates and officials joined in the state service that included Governor General Sir Tapley Seaton, Deputy Governor General Mrs. Hailito Liburd, Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris, Premier Mark Brantley, and Leader of the Parliamentary Opposition in the National Assembly, Dr. Denzil Douglas. Also attending was visiting government officials, foreign diplomats and business representatives. The state funeral followed a 10-day official period of mourning. He leaves to mourn his wife, Mrs. Vernita Amry, his daughters Adiola Spencer and Abenina Powell, several grandchildren, sisters and brothers. Glenn Bart reporting for SK Newsline.
Online radio has never been this great. It's Voice of the Caribbean Radio at voiceofthecaribbean.net. Tune into Voice of the Caribbean Radio for great Caribbean programs, news, entertainment, sports, and current affairs. Wake up each morning and be inspired with One Day at a Time with Kim Huey. Stay abreast with news across the Caribbean and internationally with the Caribbean News Hour, and be entertained with shows like Reggaeville, Caribbean Classics, and Jive Music Show. Visit our website, download our Android mobile app, or listen us on TuneIn Radio. There is so much more on Voice of the Caribbean Radio, reaching the Caribbean and beyond. Check website or app for program schedule.
Are you ready to create high-performing TV commercials?
Ready.
Ready. Ready. Create and tell compelling stories. Reach your target audience. And build brand awareness. Our strategies and execution will provide for your desired outcome and clearly represent your brand. Visit us at www.madebyopen.com and get started on your creative video commercial today. Lights, camera, Open Interactive.
Auto Plus Car Wash, located on the College Street Gut, Bastyr, St. Kitts. Bring your car to Auto Plus Car Wash to remove water stains, wiper marks. Get your doors, roof panel cleaned, seat floor mats, buffing, headlights, and engine wash. You get quality service at the best price at Auto Plus Car Wash. They really care for your car. Call 765-5140 or visit them on the College Street Gut, Bastyr, St. Kitts. Auto Plus Car Wash, where the service is number one.
The Ministry of Legal Affairs, the Attorney General's Chambers, and the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions have joined in mourning with the legal fraternity, family and friends of Celia Klein Edwards, Queen's Counsel. Mrs. Edwards, QC, is described as a veteran litigator and leaves behind a great legacy, being the first female Queen's Counsel of Grenada, as she was deservingly elevated to the rank of Silk in 2008. President of the Grenada Bar Association, Derek Sylvester, says they are mourning the passing of a distinguished legal female Queen's Counsel luminary who was way ahead of her time.
A professional in every respect. She guided, molded many of the young attorneys. Many of the attorneys who are deemed senior today, they were molded by Miss Celia Klein Edwards QC. She was a distinguished servant of the law. She served with excellence, grace, poise, and brilliance.
Sylvester says the Female Queen's Council legal shoes and legacy is difficult to match.
And on behalf of the Grenada Bar Association, we extend the deepest condolences to her family, to children, to 4 children that I'm aware of, and whatever extended family, on behalf of the Grenada Bar Association. And of course, by extension, I'm confident that all the other members in the region, from the Chief Justice's Office, the Chief Registrar, the judges, masters, and magistrates, and all the attorneys who would have appeared with or against Learned and Distinguished Queen's Counsel would be extending condolences.
Mrs. Celia Klein Edwards QC was also Grenada's first female island scholar, a former chairperson of the Public Service Commission, the Land Development Control Authority, and president of the Rotary Club of Grenada. The Bar Association president notes that lawyers and family now have a responsibility to walk a similar path and emulate the positive attributes left.
As I indicated before, she was always a champion for professional ethics. She was always a champion for a continuous legal education. She was always a champion for ensuring that there exists camaraderie and professional relationship between colleagues. And she was the sort of person who always exhibited, other than professionalism, academic acumen.
At the time of her passing, she was a representative for the Utah Bar on the General Legal Council. According to Prime Minister Dr. Kate Mitchell, Mrs. Klein Edwards distinguished herself as part of the legal fraternity and went above and beyond in fighting for her clients. Her passing, he said, represents a tremendous loss to the legal profession in Grenada. I am Gerard Joseph for GBN News.
President Irfan Ali, during his Labor Day message to the nation, noted that May Day is an occasion to acknowledge and applaud the enduring contributions of workers to Guyana's freedom and development, and the nation owes an eternal debt of gratitude to its workers whose contributions cannot be erased, forgotten, or diminished.
Whether it was in the field or factory, on the waterfront or in the offices, workers have been at the forefront of campaigning for betterment.
The head of state acknowledged that over the past 2 years, workers have borne the brunt of global economic disruptions by the COVID-19 pandemic, which has inflicted death, pain, and misery on the working class. Meanwhile, the People's National Congress Reform, PNCR, in its message, used the opportunity to laud workers while noting that Labor Day celebrates workers as the creators and turners of the wheels of the economy and to recognize the efforts of their labor. The PNCR reminded that the labor of workers' hands has indeed transformed Guyana, especially during the height of the pandemic. Meanwhile, the People's Progressive Party, PPP, described Guyanese workers as the country's most valuable asset, while noting that the contributions of workers to the advancement of Guyana and the collective progressive future are invaluable and have been the bedrock of struggles for betterment for all. And the Ethnic Relations Commission, ERC, also salutes the Guyanese working class for all ethnicities, describing them as a driving force in the economy. The Commission reminded that forebears faced many painful challenges, some insurmountable, in their quest for decent work and living wage. Reporting for the HB 90 News, Joel Vogt.
The blockbuster story broke overnight on the Politico website, reporting that a draft of the Supreme Court's opinion shows the court overturning Roe v. Wade in a blistering ruling. Politico says the draft was written by Justice Samuel Alito and says, quote, "The inescapable conclusion is that the right to abortion is not deeply rooted in the nation's history and traditions." And it quotes him as writing, "It is time to heed the Constitution and return the issue of abortion to the people's representatives." A big reason to believe the authenticity of the Politico story is that when the case was argued in December, it was apparent there were at least 5 votes on the court to overturn Roe. Alito himself repeatedly made his position clear during the courtroom argument.
Can it be said that the right to abortion is deeply rooted in the history and traditions of the American people?
One of the reporters who wrote the Politico story told Rachel Maddow Monday night that he's convinced the draft is genuine.
Well, we're very confident in the authenticity of this draft majority opinion, Rachel, both in the way that we obtained it and other information that we got that supports its authenticity.
The court is considering the fate of a Mississippi law passed in 2018 but so far blocked by a lawsuit that would ban abortion after 15 weeks of pregnancy. Lower court said it would violate the Supreme Court's abortion precedents, beginning with Roe in 1973, that say states cannot ban abortion before the age of fetal viability. That's around 23 weeks into the pregnancy. If the Supreme Court does end up overruling Roe, that would not make abortion illegal, but it would leave it up to each individual state to decide whether to ban it. And about half the states have already signaled that they would. The Politico story is remarkable for another reason. No one can remember any leak like this, and certainly not in one of the most high-profile cases in modern history. And one other note here, it ain't over till it's over. We normally would not expect this decision until late June. We'll have to see if the leak changes that timetable, Hoda.
All right, Pete, stay with us.
Domestic football returns to St. Kitts and Nevis after almost a year hiatus due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Club football resumes this Wednesday with the President's Cup, the curtain raiser between the two of the top teams currently in the SKNFA Premier League, the SL Horses St. Paul's United FC and the St. Peter's FC. A check with both teams show that they are ready and rearing to go. Coach of the St. Paul's FC, Iroy Kunga Jeffers, said his team is ready to do battle with St. Peter's, despite the fact that, like all teams, they had to be definitive with their preparations to avoid injuries.
From training, everything will be running smooth. The fellas are already prepared, ready for go tomorrow. Try to rotate the players as much as possible to eliminate injuries. That can create a lot of problems for the past 2 years. So some of the players not playing in competitive football and them kind of things.
St. Peter's coach Anthony Nett Isaac noted that the long layoff took a toll on his players, but fitness-wise, he believes they are about 70% ready.
It's been a real challenge. Because most of the time I would organize a little session just to keep the team as a togetherness. But in terms of fitness, we wasn't doing none of that yet. I think the fitness level is at about 70% right now, which I feel could be more. But we are at about 70% and 100% ready for the game. But the fitness part is going to play between both teams. And now the skills and everything is already there. But like just before, we've been out for a whole year.
These two teams have a fierce rivalry which showed up in the 2021 Premier League season. St. Peter's nicked a victory over St. Paul's, the only team to do so in round 1 of the season. In round 2, they held on to a draw, and those performances buoyed St. Peter's going into this crucial encounter.
They have not beaten us with the first 2 games that we played. The first one and the second one, we draw with them and we had one game from them. So the fellas is really taking that to get into this game tomorrow. That's what the most are talking about. They have not beaten for the year, so it kind of motivating them going to for tomorrow game.
But Conker Jeffers has a totally different opinion.
Over the years, I've been told that it's always a rival between the Peter's and St. Paul. But come tomorrow, we have a different ball game.
We will see how both teams will battle it out this Wednesday at the Warner Park in the President's Cup, starting at 7 p.m.
Welcome to the SKN Newsline Weather Report. I am Janil Boone. Here is a look at the 4-day forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis. more detailed weather report, visit our website at www.sknnewsline.com.